Hi.
Hi.
This is Michael Hall, and he's a retired clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, and from upstate New York. And we met many years ago. Um, you invited me to give a talk to your wonderful Sangha at the time. And
Mhm.
it was really nice to meet you then. And since I'm doing these kind of conversations with people, you came to mind, and I thought, what can we talk about? And what came in is awakening and freedom within relationships.
Yeah,
So here we are.
great topic.
Well,
Yeah.
it is, and it's what we're doing all the time within life is we're in relationship with life, with romantic or non-romantic, we're in relationship with one another, right?
hmm
So yeah, so I thought we could just kind of dive in and touch on some topics that we've come up with, some ideas of what might be helpful and interesting to others, and also what's interesting to you. Let me just see, where can I start? Asking you a question. Um, so you have a really deep, long standing, embodied, in my opinion, awakening that's really worked its way through your life. And I'm wondering, how has this played out for you in with others, in relationship to others, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, with your son
Yeah.
and with friends and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there've been many awakenings beginning when I was in college and then in my Zen training, uh, the Rochester Zen Center, working with Roshi Philip Kapleau and all of that, which I don't think none of those seemed to me to change much. But then in 2002, I had this just spontaneous, unexpected shift that seemed to change everything from my perspective. It seemed like night and day. But when I talked to some of my long-term friends about it afterwards, they all said, "Oh no, you're the same. You were like that before."
Really?
So it seemed much more different to me than it did to them.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting and very eye-opening. And
What changed for
but
you?
what changed for me was everything. It seems like everything changed. I mean, in some fundamental sense, I had always been, I would say, tending towards codependency with people and relationships. Maybe me needing to be liked too much. I think that's just, I don't know. I think that's the way it's always been. Maybe it's just the way I grew up, or maybe it's personality and temperament. I don't know if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs, but I used it all the time. I still think it's very useful. But my temperament is just to be a bit of a people pleaser, and I think that worked in my family, and
It tends to work.
yeah, it tends to work. People like you if you're good at that. Uh, yeah, I was just reading an article the other day by Donald Winnicott about attachment style. So I think I haven't tend to have an anxious avoidant attachment style. So anyway, it's made me less worried about being liked, to be just right on the money. That's I just don't care as much about it, and I don't try as hard. Although it's not like it's irrelevant to me. I've seen people who truly, without an awakening, actually don't care about whether they're liked or not. But I was never like that, and I seem to be really much more like that, certainly for a while after this last one in 2002. Uh,
Mhm.
Gradually, maybe some of that came back, but anyway, that's the biggest change for me.
So more of a freedom of being yourself in general.
Yeah, yeah, and not caring hardly much at all what people thought. And that made me very different, I thought, in my therapy office because I saw 45 people a week for an hour for decades. It made me much freer, and things weren't interacting with people wasn't as tiring because I wasn't self-monitoring all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
That.
and then I became this aware of this idea of Wu Wei, which It means, acting without an actor or speaking without a speaker. And I felt like that was a good description. Things just happened, or I just spoke and there was no thought about it. It just happened. And I think that was mostly good. There may have been
Yeah,
times it
ask others.
wasn't,
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't maybe always so good, but it felt very free to me.
Right. Well, when
Yeah.
we're not filtering, it is freeing, especially when we've been refining, and it sounds like you probably were looking at yourself for a good while, and I think whatever work we're bringing to
Yeah.
this, when awakening happens, whatever kind of unraveling work has taken place,
Hmm.
looking at oneself, it really, really helps when this that wu wei, that the kind of just the being is expressing, and
Right.
the doer part falls
Right.
away, right? And that doer, the one that is, maybe the sticky personality part that has neediness in it and dependencies in there and fear of being liked or not liked,
Hmm.
wanting to be liked and fear of not being liked comes in the way. And that's all part of sort of that persona, right? That
Yeah.
that that gets seen through with awakening.
Yeah. And it's very tiring.
And it's
It's very
exhausting,
tiring
right?
to
It's
have a me, to have a persona. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's a little disorienting, I felt initially, to just be without any. I guess I didn't even know what it was, but eventually I noticed that there was no internal monitoring going on. There's just whatever I thought of as me, that it had pretty much disappeared, and life just flowed. It just happened. And I didn't, sort of like I wasn't in charge of it, and I didn't have to be worried about it. It
So
just
it really
is.
didn't feel like people noticed. Like I'll just express something about what happened for me. It was first of all, it was a long journey
Mhm.
of this dissolution of self in different degrees. And what I noticed is that I was just really interested in honest relating, and
Mhm.
I so desired and valued my own authenticity. I was like,
Mhm.
whenever I felt like I was being inauthentic, it felt like it just hurt. It hurt, and then it became
Yeah.
more and more into just like it was a grain of sand that could be felt, like this inauthenticness. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
that um, there wasn't still care and compassion and in terms of what was appropriate in terms of
Hmm.
relating with another, not just like free fall, I'm just going to be myself and be
Yeah.
brazen and just be it. There was always a sensitivity of the right place at the right time,
Hmm.
not as a controller, but in terms of sensitivity and care.
Yes. And I felt for me that became much easier and more than it had ever been. So I felt like I was actually able, one way of describing it is to be more present. And
Mm.
yeah, that what I found honestly is that people often that I didn't know, that I had the most brief interactions with, just reacted to me radically differently. I'm talking about a cashier at a store, or someone selling me a ticket at the bus station. I mean, just they, and it's, I think the main difference is I saw them. I was really there for them.
Mm.
And that made the interaction radically different. And it's just, I saw everybody in front of me exactly as they were. And you could, I mean, in a way of saying is I love them as they were, and I didn't need them to be any different. And then that means there's certain ways of behaving or interacting that are natural, and people really like that. They really appreciate it. And I
Yeah,
could give many examples of that, but I do think I became just different all the time without thinking about it or trying to be different. It's just, there was a real difference here that I guess the simplest way of saying is I was able to be present because I wasn't so concerned with how I was coming across.
yeah, right. And it sounds like something that happened for me too, and took time, was just to really the falling away of hierarchy, of
Hmm.
judgment, and feeling the opposites of superiority and unworthiness just were falling away, and so that I could see people more clearly and meet them where, and be present, like you're saying,
Hmm.
and without that filter. And I think that sort of levels the playing field in terms of relating. And people
Hmm.
do respond because we're not better than anyone else in the end.
Right. We're
And
not even different. We're
and
just, in fact, we're not even two, really. But yeah, I
yeah,
know that. I know that feeling. And
yeah,
people, everyone responds well to that, it seems to me, with maybe very rare exceptions.
yeah.
But nobody, everyone likes that and feels good around that. And it felt good to me too. But I became aware of how much, I suppose, judgment had been there that I hadn't seen, or a sense of superiority, or a sense of being better than, or wiser, or more, I don't know, something, which now just seems delusional and crazy. But it's like that was there, and it had been worn down over a long period of time, but it was still very much there. It still probably comes and goes now. I don't know that you completely get over any of these things. I
I
see them pop up now, and I notice them, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was raised in a really loving, good family, but one of the kind of inherited generational conditionings that both of my parents seemed to have and participated in, and then raised us in that kind of environment, was sort of that we were sort of somehow better than
Mm,
many others in whatever way. Less better in certain ways and better, but it was sort of part of it. And so I remember as a teen and then young adult, I realized that that was something I'd inherited, but it took a long time because it
mm,
created judgments and it created separation, really. It was a
yeah.
distortion, a
Hmm.
projection and distortion, which was inhibiting intimacy, real intimacy, and actually being present, being
Yeah.
here, seeing through any filter of us and them filter, right?
Right.
And I think that
Yeah.
it's a common held, Michael, conditioning that exists on our planet, and it has separated people for centuries, and it
Mm,
also was probably inherent within like tribal identities, and it created sort of this like this protection of us and them, and then we are, at least we are an us, and we
mm,
can feel safe that way, whether it's a small family nucleus, just a partnership with someone else, or a larger tribe. It's a false sense of safety that comes out of it, but it
mm.
is the distortion of separation and forgetting the fact that we're really one great whole. And so that's something that had to wear down over time for me, was one of the painful things that I inherited. And and like you said, just so simply, without protecting yourself here, is that it could still be there and it still could show up. And same for me, but it's very refined at this point to where it just hurts.
Yeah, yeah. I think I said something like that a minute ago. It's like it doesn't feel good. I
Yeah.
don't like it. That's how I continue. I call it the practice before and after awakening. It's just noticing all of this stuff in yourself without judgment. There's no need to beat yourself up either. Um, just notice it and be curious about it. But notice that when you create the separation and judgment, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It at that moment, I'm taken out of presence, which always feels good, and it's deeply ingrained. And yeah, I agree, it is inherited more or less through family lineages and tribal identities. I mean, it's us versus them. I think it ultimately must tap into survival instincts, but
Yeah.
it's not helpful at dealing with people outside your tribe, whatever that is, because they feel other, they feel judged, they feel distanced, and they're being that's how they're being treated.
Yeah.
So I think in a way the most useful way to approach is just notice what makes you feel bad, what makes me feel bad in the moment, moment to moment to moment. And it's always going to be creating this false sense of separation.
Yeah.
And I understand it. It's tough to get rid of it, but you can keep working away at it and wearing it down.
Yeah. So well put. I mean, it feels like a real, like you said, the survival instinct, and it's a defense to the moment. And I think it just
Hmm.
sort of, it's just really quickly, it's covering over a fear response of,
Yeah,
and that's and whatever
I think
conditioning
that's right.
might be there that is in defense and a coping strategy to a fear response will come up. In our cases, we're both saying that we have that similarly that was there and maybe inherited of the judgment. Um, some other people might have more of a fawning, kind of like just kind of get really quiet and shut down when there's a fear response.
Mhm.
So I think it's a strategy born out of separation of protecting oneself from the intimacy of the moment and that kind of it just takes time. It takes time, but it really does fade, which is such a lovely thing about awakening, realization, how
Mhm.
how transformative it is to the human being and helping one be able to really embody over time the truth that's been realized and live here and live itself out here.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's in a way, that's all fun. It could seem like work. Some people, I don't see it as work. I see it as what else are you going to do? You're here. You have to do something. So you may as well learn to enjoy this presence as much as possible. And the only thing that takes you out of it is, and you're not even really out of it, but is your imposed sense of separation, as far as I can tell. So you notice when you do that because it feels icky. It doesn't feel good. And other people respond very well to your being present. They just do. They love it. And I'm talking now mainly about people I don't even know and I will probably never see again, but I'm interacting with for 2 minutes at Wegmans or at CVS or something. And yeah, they feel something. I think it's acceptance and non-judgment. And then they're very open. They're very, very open. People are just, they want to share their life with you. They want to tell you what's going on with them at the moment. And they relax around you is another way of saying it. And I think it's because you're not really not judging them and really are open and curious to know their life and what's real for them. And that's just another way of saying present, I think. That's what I think presence means for me. And it's so enjoyable. It's like, why would you not do this? It's like, I don't see it as work. I see it as fun or play even, but um, it's not hard. It's just doing what feels good, really.
I
And
agree.
it feels good to be undefended. And another way of saying this is being very vulnerable and very open.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not everybody 100% of the time knows how to deal with that, but it's always good for me. And I think it's
Well,
it's seems
It's like
good for almost everybody.
it's going into another topic I've been interested in is just healthy relating, what it looks like without drama and dependency um and this sort of like for me at least with embodying more and more the undivided state is just
Mhm.
this well complete lack of wanting to to live with drama.
That's true
You
too.
know, and like so many relationships, I think that part of the fuel that's, keeping them going are such a variety of things, right? There's dependency, there's attachment wounds,
Hmm.
and drama. So the stickiness of the separate self, I mean, that too is something that um it fades, it gets seen through, and it's like, and for me, I have to be honest, Michael, it started to make my friendship group smaller and smaller over time.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I saw that too. That's
yeah.
true. Yes.
And while there's an intimacy with everyone to whatever degree, even if it's just nothing being said, right? You're just because there's no the defense is falling away more and more. But in terms of like whom I choose to spend time with and take the time with, it
Hmm.
needs there's some kind of reciprocity that I'm looking for to where it's not just one-sided, that there's increasing clarity, but that I'm enjoying. I mean, there's love regardless, but what I really enjoy is when there's like a transparency between
Sure.
myself and another and
Hmm.
availability. Do
Yep.
you know what I mean?
I do. And I think by just being you, yourself as you are,
Yeah.
meaning here and really now and not needing to do much of anything or be much of anything or get any kind of particular reaction, that gives the other person a tremendous opening for themselves to be like that. And
But
it's
they
a
don't all
gift.
take it, right,
They
Michael?
don't all take, they can't. And I appreciate that too. Not everybody can
No.
do anything with this. And some people I do think probably feel destabilized by it, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed that, but
Oh, for sure. I have to, adjust a little bit sometimes, just the amount
mhm,
of distance,
right,
because it isn't about what I want per se only. It's also about
right.
just the truth between one another.
Yeah. And what they can do and what they're willing to do and open to doing. And yeah, it can be a very intense experience. But one thing I wanted to mention, and I've thought of it several times, but it's that something that seemed to almost completely fall away for me was a sense of needing to be right. And I hadn't even known how much that was present for me until it was pretty much gone. And then I realized it's maybe the first time in my life I could comfortably say, I don't know, when people would ask me a question. I don't know. I always felt like I should know the answer, which seems kind of crazy in retrospect. Like, why would I assume that? But that's just something about the way I grew up, is I was supposed to know. And I did, I did know a lot. But I always felt a pressure to know and to be right, especially, and to not make mistakes. Those were all pressures I had somehow picked up along the way. And that largely just disappeared. And that was very freeing. And in relationships, to not need to be right is very freeing.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so with you on that. It really is. It's just being with what is, letting
mhm,
be as they are more, and that means
right,
letting them be as they are. So why,
right.
like, I just noticed I haven't been in an argument in like a really, really long, long time.
Yeah, me either. And I that was another observation, is that this sense of of trying to change anybody's mind about anything just went away. Like
Oh,
It's like
but I have
that's
to argue with you there. No, I'm just joking.
and but what that meant was I no longer argued with anybody about anything.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like because I don't need to change them and I don't need to be right. Those two just I don't need to fix them. I don't need to make them different. I don't need to make them see my point of view.
Right.
And that just ended. And so, the idea of being angry at people for anything just also kind of went away. But the sense of wanting to be right, the sense of wanting to be in control of something and feeling out of control, all of that largely, none of this is 100%, but it largely disappeared.
Yeah.
And so I don't get into arguments with people. It's like, why? It seems crazy to me. Why would my probably conditioned beliefs be any better than your conditioned beliefs? You know,
And it's also caring for one's own emotional needs, versus expecting or wanting anybody to respond in a certain way in order to help you with your own emotional need,
right, right.
right? So to be
Yeah.
self-sufficient and okay,
Hmm.
so we're not seeing eye to eye, but if I don't necessarily need anything from you, but sometimes one does. Sometimes one does need something from
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's especially in a very intimate relationship with,
Hmm.
one's children or close friend or even a beloved, there are times it gets a little more messy as it gets more and more close, right? In
Right.
terms of
Yeah. Hmm.
there's more of sort of well participation in one another's life. And so
Hmm.
there are going to be a little bit of push pull at times,
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I notice that I'm very grateful when somebody saves me from one of my wounds. I don't know how
in
else
what
to say
way? What do
that.
you mean?
Well, it's like if I feel vulnerable or needy in some way, and they, by their behavior, either consciously or unconsciously, protect me from having to feel that.
Ah,
Now, I used to expect that as a right, and now I no longer see it as a right. I see it as a profound gift, and I still feel like my wound there needs to be attended to by me, not by them.
yeah.
But if it happens to, so in other words, these things still happen. I notice them.
Right.
But
But
if
that's also
somebody,
part of exchanging in communication, like going
Mhm,
into more of a, it's a little destabilizing at times, but it really is where the deep love and caring is there to such a degree that one is willing to go there to
yeah,
maybe to see what's going on a more minute level. And
mhm,
if there's equal care on both sides, a lot can happen there, a lot of
yeah,
transformation. Um,
yes, and I try to do that for other people. I can just sense their vulnerabilities. I try not to trigger them. I don't want to, and if I do, I try to take responsibility for it and try to acknowledge it, and basically apologize. And I think that as quickly as possible, and that tends to prevent a lot of needless difficulty. Um, but I used to be very, I would say, defensive about seeing myself as wrong or having missed the boat or dropped the ball or misunderstood
yeah.
or not been sensitive. I just now I realize there's nothing I need to defend about that. I'm fairly insensitive periodically, but I try to acknowledge it and notice it when it's happening, and then take responsibility for it.
Do you have
And
anyone there for you in that way that is sensitive to you? Or have you in the past that you
oh
got the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
experience
yes,
of it being
yes, I have
hard?
good friends that are like that for me, and I appreciate it tremendously. And I'm great, and I think express that gratitude all the time. What I mostly don't do now is feel entitled to it, to being treated the way I want to be treated.
Uh-huh.
That sense of entitlement sort of went out the window, and
Yeah.
I think that causes endless trouble for people as they believe they deserve to not have their wounds triggered or to not have people disagree with them or whatever, or to be taken care of when they need it or want it in the way they want it.
It's a
Um,
control issue.
Yeah, it's not, we're not entitled to anything, or as
I
far
mean,
as hardly, virtually anything.
I see a lot of
Yeah,
control in it at play in relationships.
absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
what we're allowed to talk about, where we don't go. These are my
Hmm.
parameters, so I'm kind of a chameleon a bit, I'm
Yeah, me too.
yeah, so I can morph. Um, it's a yin quality, right?
Yeah.
And it can be useful. It's an empathic quality.
Hmm.
Mm. At the same one thing I wanted to learn, not I had to, but I wanted to, is learn how to be myself, which realization really supported throughout all experiences in different kinds of situations, even when someone was with um, was trying to kind of just set the stage, like setting a little stage of how they wanted the interaction and relationship to be. This
Hmm.
is how it
Hmm.
is. And how to, if I was even, willing to participate,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
there was something still, sort of there was love was there or care or enjoyment. How to still be myself and not necessarily rock the boat, but also be sort of and push a bit the boundary of what's possible because I don't want to just fall in line with people's coping strategies because we're
Right.
here to grow and evolve.
Hmm.
So it's just a sort of fine dance to still be myself here and invite that lot sort of liveliness within a relationship where there is quite a bit of fear and control that's still being played out. Have you experienced that? Because I've had that with a few people that I still am friends with, and
Sure.
it's just the way it
Yes.
is, you know?
I think, yes, exactly. And dating, I especially noticed it. And, when went through this big shift in 2002, I was living with a woman. She chose to leave fairly soon afterwards. And, maybe 6 months later, I started seeing a woman who was interesting person. But I would just suddenly notice all the different ways she was trying to manipulate and control me. And it didn't really upset me. It was more like, I was just curious, like, really? You're going to try that? You do with me right now? I mean,
Yeah.
I was almost like, it was mildly humorous, but I couldn't believe it. It's like, you really think I'm going to be controlled by that?
It's
It
not
was
very
surprising.
sustainable, Michael. You have a lot of equanimity, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But is it really sustainable for a long-term relationship to to have that much sort of imbalance where someone is still really trying to control their environment? I mean, is it really possible?
Well, I've tried it both ways, and I would say it's far easier to be with someone who has pretty much given up on that sense of control, but they're kind of few and far between. But there are people like that, and you can find them, and I have, and yeah, I agree, it's not sustainable, and it gets tiresome. But it's just very freeing to be with somebody who doesn't try to manipulate you or control you.
Yeah,
And that I think all human beings that's gonna come up periodically.
for sure.
And so you have plenty of opportunity if you're like me, which is sort of eager to please still to this day, less so, but you're going to have plenty of opportunity to be assertive and have boundaries and say no. But there are people that don't do much of that really. And th- often they're the ones who are into this kind of stuff. They're into awakening and they've had an awakening of some sort, because that just seems to naturally move you down this path quite a ways. Um, of You realize at some level you're not in control of anything really, and that's okay. That's fine. That's actually a relief.
Yeah,
And for the first time in my life after this happened to me in 2002, I started using terms like grace and the will of God and all of that. I had heard those terms growing up. I had no idea what they meant, and I never used them. But now it's like it just seems natural to. It just came out of my mouth. I wasn't thinking. It's like this is all grace, but Um, God's in charge is another way of saying it. And I'm just, what I would say actually right there in 2002 was if God needs a voice box to speak in English, I'm available. And that's
That's,
how it felt to me. It's like,
yeah,
use me as an instrument of your will. I have no will
yeah,
of my own.
yeah,
And I found out much later that's very similar to a prayer of St. Francis or something like that. I
yeah.
learned that in going to a Catholic church. I had never heard those words that I was conscious of, but they just came out of me every morning. I'd wake up and I would say, use me as an instrument of your will. I have no will of my own. And I really meant that. And so I try to notice how this, I feel its guidance from the Holy Spirit works and how it's moving me through life and how it's making some things happen and other things not happen. And so when I really seem to want something and I'm not getting it, I often just look at it as that's probably best. Maybe it doesn't fit what I want at this moment, and that's often turned out to be absolutely true. Even if I really wanted, say, a particular relationship or some other event and I didn't get it, I look back, I found out or thought about it later based on further knowledge or experience. And it's like that was lucky. I was really guided there. Because my own judgment, my own wish, probably still ego driven, was not a good one. It wouldn't have worked out well. But
yeah.
not getting what I wanted was the best thing that could have happened.
Mm. No, what a beautiful teaching. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So I was brought up in a Christian sort of, I would say, fundamentalist type family. Evangelical now would probably be the word, but I always, I didn't relate to it. I couldn't resonate with it. But that, having been dragged to church and Bible school and all that some of it sunk in at some level. So then when I went through this last shift in 2002, it's like, it just was there. And I got it. Oh, that's what he meant when he said that. And talking about, Jesus and the New Testament and all of that. So it's like, it just suddenly became very interesting to me. I felt resonant with it.
Yeah, it's like the meaning of surrender. Like
Yeah, yes. Yep. Not my will, but thy will be
I
done.
will. The
And
the
yep.
oh, can I interject?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
What I was just going to say is that what I discovered when I went through that passageway for myself is that that will had had a lot could have a lot of it knew how to set boundaries.
Hmm.
It knew how to say no when it was
Hmm.
appropriate. It wasn't just
Hmm.
like a yes. It navigated with discernment and intelligence. It was like prajna, the wisdom of the heart. It
Hmm.
had intelligence to it. And while there was sort of a yes inherent with an open palm kind of feeling, within it there were no's that would arise or I would not go that way, but this way, not that relationship, but maybe this one. And you know what, in terms of um, being graced, here and there by being saved by certain relationships, being involved,
Hmm.
one of the ways that it would reveal to me what became apparent for me is that my body would tell me what was good
Hmm.
for me or not. Like I would get a stomach ache, or my
Hmm.
heart would feel kind of heart constricted. There would
Yep.
be sort of a shutdown, and this developing understanding would grow. This isn't for me, and
Right.
it's vibrational. It's a vibrational understanding, and we're made of vibration. This body, the form, and it
Mm-hmm.
knew it had its intelligence as well of understanding and knowing what was good for it. So thy will, to me, is divine intelligence that knows how to care for itself, just like a tree that doesn't walk around like we do, but a tree knows how to care for itself and what
Hmm.
nutrients to draw up and all that stuff. We're guided as that in terms of the best way possible in this very, you know, interesting world, how to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, that guidance is something I've started. trying to convey to people maybe, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, but it's like so interesting and so important. And you said it beautifully. It's a great description. And it does take care of us and everyone. And I don't know, you described it well. I can't improve on that or add to it. It's like, it's here, it's always been here, and it's always known it. I don't know what that it is, but it's something that is very real and is worth looking for and paying attention to. And you're right, the body just energetically is either moved towards or sometimes away from. And learning to pay attention to these sometimes very subtle signals.
Yeah,
And
indeed.
there was a friend of mine who had a deep awakening. Actually, his name is Mike Snyder, and he had this mantra called that he came up with spontaneously, where he said, show me the way, show me the way, show me the way for me." And he had been brought up in the South, like I was, in evangelical Christianity, and so that was his way of. That's what he took from his education and the Bible and all of that, was show me your way for me. And eventually that led to a deep awakening. And
Yeah.
show me your guy, you know. And there's a book by a Tibetan Rinpoche called, oh, I can't think of his name, but it's called Gently Whispered. And it's I love the title. I
Yeah.
just love the title, Gently Whispered, because that's how it often is. It's sort of, this guidance comes to you in a gentle, not intrusive way, but learning to listen for it and look for it and be open to it. Katrul Rinpoche, I think was his name. But just, it's gently whispered, but it's always there. And you can learn to be more and more and more sensitive to it. And it's good to pay attention to it. It's like there's the right to ignore it. But I actually came up with a rule for myself, which was, if I felt for whatever reason that I was supposed to do X, Y, or Z, and it came back 3 times, I would just do it no matter what. Because that meant to me it was coming from the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, the no mind, the mind of Christ, the Buddha mind, the the presence, this it, whatever that is, was trying to guide me. And I've had it come back 5 or 6 times. And I
Wow.
kept saying no. And then finally, after 5 or 6, that's when I made my rule of 3 times. If it seems to, if I'm sitting at home and I get a sense, go to the store, I just get up and go to the store. And I usually don't know why I'm there, but then something will often happen that shows me why I'm there.
Yeah.
Like somebody at, like, the cash register person needs my somehow interacting with me, or I run into somebody I was looking to meet or couldn't get hold of or something. It's remarkable. That sounds maybe very woo woo, but it's very real.
No,
And
it's
it's worth trusting. Learning to pay attention to it is very valuable. Yeah,
it's really comes to living in the unknown,
that's right.
resting as that
Beautiful.
more and more.
Hmm.
And
Resting in the unknown.
just as a development of what you're saying in terms of when awakening happens, so when your friend had that mantra for himself, that was still born in a very sweet, beautiful, devotional way out of a relationship to God, a little separation. And then
Hmm.
when realization, awakening comes, it takes away that separation to where it's just what it is. And so that listening has such beautiful consequences over time, to where we're guided more and more to knowing ourselves as that whisper, not just
Yeah.
listening, but it is that listening is the whispering.
Yeah,
It's
that's well
one
put.
thing, you know? It's one
It's
thing.
not two. Yes, right. Hmm.
Yeah. And so I just
That's
wanted to
actually
share
very, yeah,
that with
that's
people
great.
because you so beautifully laid out how poignantly valuable it is to become a deep listener and to follow that and learn how to follow it. It's truth guiding us back home. And then
Hmm.
to just there's a and some people who are listening may have this also being taking place where it just that fades away and it's just now life. It's just this,
Yeah.
no more intermediary. But that I went through that passageway for a long time as well. In fact, I was such a I loved being a devotee of God. I was
Yeah.
so in love with the divine and
Mm, that's beautiful.
yeah, so in love. And so that relationship continues, but it's not, it's less of a dance of two, but
Hmm.
the, it's still that in the form of the multitude, so it's
Yeah.
one thing, but it's still unique what one can be devoted to. It
Yeah.
still has a
Yeah, I get that. Yes. And that never, whatever that is, that never leaves. That's always here. It can't, you can't, one way of saying is you can't find it because, and you can't lose it. It's your birthright. It's a given. It's just here now. Don't worry about it. It's always going to be here.
yeah.
Um,
It's why
because
we can't
it
get
is
out.
you. It
Yeah.
is you.
It is us. And
Yeah.
yet, and then there's like it is you and there's Mother Earth and she's
Hmm.
a being. It is you and
Hmm.
there's the sun. It feels like it could be a being. It is you and it's you, Michael, and it's
Hmm.
my dog Nala, you know, and so on and so forth. It's the one, but it's how precious is this life, Michael?
Hmm. Yes.
Do you just what do you feel? Yeah, what do you feel about this life?
Gratitude. I just feel grateful to be here and to be on this journey, and which in a way I can't sometimes if I reflect on it, I can't believe it's happened like this to me, but because I where I grew up, this stuff wasn't one of the options. It just wasn't. Nobody would have ever thought of this or talked about it, or but I feel so grateful however all this happened, and I can't take any credit for it for sure. It's just that feels like pure grace. I'm so grateful, and I just want to be of service to that, whatever that is. And yeah, Mother Earth is the ground of all of it. And it reminds me of a story. Somebody was talking about taking a Tibetan Rinpoche, I forget which one, into the desert and into this field of boulders, which is very much like it is here where I live. And the Rinpoche looked at all these boulders and said, "Look at all the members." For him, they were part of his sangha. They were beings. They weren't like inanimate objects. They were breathing life and present.
Um, I would say that's also maybe our experience, my experience it is. I mean, and for you to
Hmm.
say it in that way with reverence, I sense it's your experience too, because as within, so without. So what's
Yeah,
been realized inside as being that's divine, form is divine, so would the without be divine.
yeah, yeah. And the intelligence is everywhere. I mean, you can, if you just look, you can see it in animals. You can see it in plants. Like you said, everything, in a way, every plant orients towards the sun, and it's dry like it is here almost all the time. The roots go down deeper. I mean, trying to dig up a desert plant is virtually impossible because the roots go like 6 feet down, because it wouldn't survive in the desert otherwise. So it's like these are remarkable beings. I mean,
I was just thinking what a great metaphor for being rooted in being and how
mhm,
deep the roots go to where you don't get unsettled by life events any longer.
yeah,
Whatever takes place, the what is always here and awake doesn't go anywhere.
that's right. It doesn't. You can't. That's what it is. You can't lose it. It's like once you taste it, you're never going to lose it because it's you. It's this. It's right here, right now. It can't go anywhere. It never did. Maybe seem like it was not here, but you didn't have a sense of it. But it is you. And you don't earn this. You don't have to. It's freely given.
Mm, right.
Yeah.
There's no hierarchy there.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I used to, before my father died, for about a month, he would go around. He knew he was going to die, and he had told me that. And he went around chanting the 23rd Psalm. And I was like mystified by this, but eventually I came to understand it. But it's like something just, he got it. He got it at the very end of his life. So that thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. But this table is laid out for you to eat. And all you have to do is pick up a fork and dig in. It's like
Mm, that sounds wonderful.
a little
Well, it's
soy
so
sauce,
nice.
maybe, but
It's so nice being with you today.
yeah, thank you. It's lovely. Yeah, I enjoyed talking to you. It's lovely. Yeah.
Same here. Well, we probably each had some different notes or ideas, but this is a beautiful what took place. It's just spontaneous.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I really
Your
appreciate
dog seems very peaceful, so all is good with the world.
she's dreaming. She's moving. There she's
Yeah,
she's taking our WALK.
that's funny. My son has three dogs and he has to talk like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't want to wake her up.
Right.
Yeah, she's been trained since she was a puppy to be quiet during my sessions and so on.
Hmm.
So it
Okay.
really, literally, she goes down and just until it's time. And as soon as I'm done, her head lifts up.
Hmm.
Okay, now what now? Well, anyway, really enjoyed having you here today.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
inviting me. It's
you.
it's a joy. It's a
So just
pleasure.